Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Saturday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Saturday, January 20th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today, Strength in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. Potentially a lot of vulnerabilities coming up today, and I'm not necessarily surprised to see this. What have we been seeing? This has been a very challenging week energetically for all frequencies. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. It's been a roller coaster ride. There's been a lot of breakthroughs here, but we've also seen that there's been a lot of modalities that you've had to hit recently. Masculine energy coming through that kind of crash point that we saw earlier this week. And we almost saw, and I have to stress here, we've been seeing a lot of the masculine energy in this modality, even in the divine union frequency, feeling like there's a lot of back and forth energy here, a lot of stop start. So for that frequency right now, we're almost seeing that a lot of this is almost amplifying as a point of frustration. You'll recall I saw some of that Temperance in its reversal energy yesterday, which can feel like impatience if it's not necessarily integrated properly. Now, masculine energy is trying to channel this right now into motivated direct action. You'll even recall we saw something happening, particularly for the masculine energy in relation to other masculine energy yesterday, bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, in feeling like some tender buttons were getting pushed. You will recall that this energy put a lot of care and consideration towards some circumstances or certain situations, feeling and recognizing that they required a lot of energetic healing, requiring masculine to effectively surrender the outcome around some circumstances or situations. The best way I described the feeling yesterday for the energy in the divine union frequency might be almost akin to like taking a little bit of an arrow in a shoulder, but this was potentially coming from someone that you know that the energy that's coming in that way is doing so from a place of pain, fear, or anxiety. So what do you do when like someone is in that modality where you can see the engender, the hurt that someone is effectively lashing out through? It's not necessarily maintaining that point of empathy. It requires and causes a point where we see that the energy in the divine union frequency, particularly the masculine energy right now, is doing their best not to allow themselves to be triggered, doing that best to expand that positive energetic field that they were trying to put towards some unhealed situations, almost anticipating and recognizing that this may almost be some of the reactivity point from that. We see that ability to like almost pull out an arrow and just kind of take that breath is almost amplifying that there's kind of that deeper energetic point that we're seeing that the divine union frequency is maintaining right now, which is almost that reminder of what true strength looks like. Is true strength the moment or modality where you have to display strength? Or is true strength communicated through infinite patience, through infinite ability to maintain a point of vulnerability, even past one's own emotional or spiritual endurance? This is the work that the energy in the divine union frequency is amplifying. This is like reverse weightlifting, my friends. So this is why we even saw that some of that message that was being communicated or transmitted, even through the way and the ability of masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency right now to navigate points of pressure, or even to navigate situations and circumstances around unhealed karmic situations or scenarios that feel like they're challenging, is almost this patient reminder that they are providing to each other and also to those around you, which is best amplified in something akin to never mistake kindness for weakness. Never confuse vulnerability for weakness. It takes a tremendous amount of strength to be soft. And that ability, that silk to steel approach, we almost see as being employed right now for the energy in the divine union frequency. But it is also a challenge, because to learn how to do that is effectively the task that the energy in the divine union frequency is applying. And it's a reminder that it is never something that comes naturally. It is something that is constantly an amplification of the choice and the strength and the power within oneself to move from a place of intentionality as opposed to reactivity. Both energies in that frequency right now, feeling that to a large degree today. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency, you're also learning to do this right now. Because what have we been seeing for the energy coming into the divine union frequency? Difficult conversations this entire week. Challenging conversations that in the past you may have experienced a need or a desire to run from. Masculine, we see that moment has almost been showing you, if you've been doing this work, internal boundaries within the self. Almost having to question those boundaries within the self, asking yourself, why do I feel that wall when I want to speak of these things? What is that? Who put it there? What good is it? What is it for? Is that something that I put there, or is that something someone put there long ago? Is that something someone told me needed to be there, but never necessarily explained why? So one of the things that we are seeing right now is this moment or modality where this ability to drop one's armor for one another, the energy in the divine union, breaking through that false sense of self, being honest, being expressive, talking about the things that, again, coming into a deeper sense of vulnerability, building that emotional connection with each other, talking about one's doubts or fears, potentially even referencing past experiences that bring up these vulnerabilities, is building the connective tissue that is helping the energy maintain the frequency of coming into divine union. The energy right now that is coming back into divine union, this ability to do this. I told you, there's something here that some energy almost feels like they need to be convinced that someone has actually changed, that someone is willing to do the work. And where is that moment of confirmation coming through on? That moment of confirmation is coming through right now in seeing or recognizing, having a conversation and seeing something that may have created a reactivity point in someone in the past, not experiencing that reactivity point in this moment or this modality is effectively showing that someone is learning to overcome their own obstacles, to overcome their own hurdles, that there's something here that the energy in the divine union frequency is showing, that when things get difficult, this energy isn't running in the opposite direction. And it's not pretending that it's not vulnerable. It's leaning in. It's taking that arrow, much like the energy in the divine union frequency. Masculine and feminine in separation right now, this is very vulnerable. This is going to feel like very heavy work right now for the energy in separation. Because again, I have to stress, a lot of this energy in separation right now, it doesn't want to be in separation. The ultimate choice that's happening right now for a lot of the energy in separation is that point of observation in recognizing, even admitting to oneself that the reason that you're potentially moving away from something right now isn't necessarily due to a lack of care. There are differences between feeling a lack of care for someone versus feeling that something can move forward in a productive, positive way. And what we are seeing here that is so difficult is that point of observation is allowing for a lot of breakthrough. It's allowing for a lot of personal advancement in one's own understanding of the connection that you have towards another right now, potentially even the connection that you have within oneself. For feminine energy, this is that moment that we see. This is feminine energy almost not coming into that point of acknowledging that there's something here that someone is effectively going to be a weakness. And when I say weakness, it's that moment that this isn't feminine energy that is looking at this right now from a place of identifying and saying that person is something that I need to push away. This is feminine energy allowing themselves to be able to find a way to embody how to move forward while still holding that tender area for someone. Because this is that moment of feminine having that point of acknowledgement and saying, the reason I'm potentially moving away from someone right now or something is not due to the lack of desire for something to be better. It is a release for the hope that something will come back healed, will come back ready to be able to manifest in the direction that the feminine desires to manifest in. So this is almost a feminine energy in separation right now, accepting and acknowledging where they are, though it may feel somewhat overwhelming. Masculine, you're potentially also feeling this, especially because, again, if you are in separation right now from a feminine, that you're potentially feeling like you're getting that mixed message confusion on of a feminine saying, I desire to be with you, but we can't move forward like this. This point of understanding and acknowledging is also bringing up towards you some feelings of vulnerability. The problem that we're seeing around some of the masculine energy going through this is feeling like a lot of this vulnerability is almost pushing back against your own egoic journey. It almost feels more like a confrontation with one's own ego. And that moment right now is why we see, again, the possibility of a lot of energy coming back into union right now is very strong. Because this is effectively a moment that we are recognizing and identifying that feeling is either looking at one's own ego and feeling like that is your vulnerability, or it is a moment of allowing that to kind of fall to the side to experience and to truly feel what you feel. A lot of confusion potentially coming through right now but again, for the masculine energy and separation right now, even this observation point of recognizing, being able to experience and feel that full emotional breath, recognizing that in itself is an act of strength, may be a little bit of a challenge zone right now. Second card in our 5-card spread for today is the advantage to this. The advantage to this. Moving in this way really gets to the core of what it is that you truly seek, what it is that you truly desire. Feminine energy, moving in this modality, this is why we see right now it is feeling very bittersweet, because this is feminine energy that is almost carrying that burden of grief, carrying that weight, feeling that sensitivity, but persisting through it. Not allowing it to effectively stop them on their path towards what it is that they're trying to manifest right now. Learning the ability, it almost feels for a lot of the feminine energy and separation right now, like you're moving in two different worlds. Like there's the one part of you that is moving very much and kind of following, doing those things that you need to do, moving through those things, putting that time, effort, and energy, continuing to build forth towards your manifestation. But ultimately, we see here for a lot of the feminine energy, a lot of this is working and feeling like that's almost like that protective shell that you're putting forth right now to hold and contain some of this deeper, raw vulnerability that's rising to the surface today. So feminine energy, make sure that you're putting a lot of care of the self into play today, even as you're trying to push forward or push through some of these feelings of vulnerability. Masculine, you are mirroring feminine right now in separation. So we see that you're doing very much the same right now. This may feel like, again, you guys have heard me say this a few times this week. This is giving a lot of that energy of potentially feeling like you're kind of like in this modality of like faking it until you make it. But when I say fake it until you make it, I don't mean putting on a false front so much as like pushing through, putting that extra effort in right now, because really there's a lot of vulnerability in terms of like what you would rather be doing right now as it relates to protecting that vulnerable center versus finding some kind of relief and easement right now in finding the points of like method or ritual or work, amplifying that sense or that sensation of helping you kind of keep your focus to help you in a way facilitate getting back some of that feeling of strength. So this is like call and response, if you will. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, that vulnerability is the benchmark right now on being able to move back into divine union. We still see that there's a lot of energy right now potentially coming back out of separation, trying to move back into divine union right now. It's coming on the path right now of being able to be vulnerable, being able to be honest, being able to drop or shed that ego, to be able to truly express that anxiety point, those needs, those fears. That ability to do so is almost required. It is part and parcel for coming into the divine union frequency, because what is the energy in the divine union frequency and the energy that is already, that coming into the divine union frequency and the energy in the divine union frequency doing? Show me where you're vulnerable so that that's where we can put the work in. And that's why we see now that while this may be feeling like a lot of challenging conversations that are potentially happening right now, coming into divine union, it's feeling like it's productive because this isn't coming into a state or space where you're being vulnerable and it's being utilized as a tool or to take advantage. It's allowing a deepened sense of openness that is immediately allowing some point of productivity. Seeing energy that is able to push through any anxiety, push through any fears, push through any anxious attachments, push through any abandonment attachments, pushing through and saying, I'm going to push through that feeling and stay here and show you that I'm committed to do this work, is amplifying the energy that is learning to move with intention instead of reactivity. Masculine and feminine, and it's affirming to some energy right now, even if there's anxiety about coming back into union, that someone has effectively shifted, because it's literally seeing that their reactivity point has adjusted in a moment that they feel vulnerable. Masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency right now, this is what you do. This is how you move. This is why we saw even now energetically, if there are situations or circumstances that are challenging to the energy in the divine union frequency, it's not getting them off course. Because what is the energy in the divine union frequency doing for one another? Show me where you're weak so I can make you stronger there. Show me where it hurts so I can fix that. That ability to be able to be vulnerable to each other so that you can move in a more practical way fortifies the divine union frequency as it goes. It's allowing, I keep showing you this example of when these difficulties come up, when these hurdles come up, when these fault lines start to appear. It doesn't send everybody running for the hills. It brings the energy towards those points to put that security there, to put that strength there, to amplify that is not that point of strength is that is the place that is now going to be doubly amplified. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now. Third card in our 5-card spread is 8 of Cups in its reversal, because this is the energy right now of masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, that is amplifying that there's something about being vulnerable right now, feeling and encountering any kind of setbacks or hurdles. This is a moment, and this is what we appreciate for the energy in the divine union frequency, that is taking almost a not yet approach. Taking almost a not yet approach. This is like giving that sense right now, especially if there's some situations or circumstances that are like creating that energetic friction, even that intentionality of trying to heal any unhealed karmic energy right now. Like that sense of saying, like, when they're ready, they know where to find us. When it's ready, they'll know where we are. That ability right now, again, not to allow something to get you off course, but to almost amplify the fact that you're proceeding forward in this way, putting that energy on, giving each other that boost of confidence as you do so, is almost allowing this moment or modality of experiencing and being able to let go of things easier. That point of, again, feeling some of the grief and frustration that you may have experienced this week, it's almost that moment. It's not pretending that you're not going through those modalities. It's having that point of being open about it and makes it easier to move away from something. And even that recognition point of having to ascertain the difference between where you might aspire or desire a situation or circumstance to be versus where it is. It's not that, as I said, it's not that everything becomes perfect once you're in that modality of divine union, but the easement comes in feeling that collective energy of support as it relates to observing the effort itself is the gift. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This ability to have these difficult conversations, to be vulnerable to each other, but instead of having that be a point of someone moving away from something because it's hard, starting to amplify and say, well, I guess we'll have to put extra effort there. Seeing that kind of sea change in someone, if that is not a modality that they used to inhabit, that's amplifying to someone that something has effectively changed enough that the divine union frequency can maintain a point of consistency. Or these are new energetic connections where someone is recognizing that there is an ability to be vulnerable in front of another energy. And instead of that sending the energy moving in the other direction, it's bringing that effort and energy in immediately. This is almost the expression of those vulnerabilities that is amplifying the ability right now to continue forward into the divine union frequency. The energy in separation right now, this is why so much of the energy in separation right now is nurturing some of that feeling of personal vulnerability. Because this is that need or desire. This is why we see right now that there's so much energetic connection if in separation right now. Because I told you the energetic connection isn't the problem. The energetic connection is being pushed against if there was a desire or need that when someone was vulnerable, someone felt that someone moved away. That instead when that vulnerability was reached, it triggered an abandonment wound, or it moved into a point of reactivity. This is why we see so much of the energy is releasing right now, because it is the aspiration and hope that if given time, someone will learn not just to be able to say that have the statement of desiring to be in connection, but recognizing the type of effort that is required to maintain a healthy divine union partnership. And that is why we see here, there's almost an amplification of someone saying, I'm not letting go of someone. I'm releasing them so that one day they might return. And that is why we see that there's so much of this vulnerability here, because there's that desire and need and hope that something might come back, but also a recognition that one cannot spend an indefinite time waiting for another person to complete their journey. Fourth card in our 5-card spread, because this is where we start to feel and see some of an unhealed karmic connection. What happens when we're in an unhealed karmic connection? Someone is becoming heavy lessons that are coming through the energetic connection itself, and there's still that energetic pull, because we are seeing here the representation of deep understanding of the self, ground shifting adjustments that are occurring, not necessarily amplifying in two energies staying together, but two energies pulling apart. Two energies that, again, almost want or have something conditional in relation to how they want to move together, that are not necessarily moving them in the same direction so much as they're amplifying each other, pulling in the direction that they need to go. And the way that we're seeing here that is actually allowing for a point of productivity is, instead of that point of letting it just be a tug of war that pulls either one off of their path, this is now a different way of handling that connectivity point in just releasing it. And recognizing that if that energy comes into getting on the same pathwork, they know what it is that they want. They know where it is to find you. We are almost seeing here that there may be a lot of conversation, even in separation right now, in someone amplifying to someone else saying, I want you to understand. And again, this is also probably solving some of that confusion that we saw rising up yesterday and the day before over miscommunications. Someone trying to clarify, if someone's like, I don't understand what you want, if you're saying that you want to be with me and you don't want to be with me, this is energetically someone saying, the way, the modality, the shape that this relationship is in is not one that feels positive and productive to our mutual growth and viability in divine union. That aspiration point in releasing someone is almost, again, the ability of saying, I hope that if I let you go, I hope if you proceed on your journey, you will understand the difference between what you are offering me versus what I am seeking. And that ability right now, that trying to articulate to someone is almost, again, even that may be happening right now. It feels like it's going to be very difficult territory for the energy oppositional to this, because it is going to feel like you're both almost potentially pulling on each other for different things. So feeling the connective tissue of realizing that two energies want to be together, but they want to go in different directions. We've got that like strong rubber band effect that you guys often call that TF word that I'm explaining to you as the unhealed karmic connection here. Let's go left. No, go right. Left, go left. Let's go right. Can't go down two roads. So again, either stay in the same place pulling on each other, or one needs to release and say, you know where to find me. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, this ability of someone to acknowledge and recognize and see that something in the past was preventing them from moving together on the same journey. That ability to recognize that is effectively how a lot of energy here is potentially coming back into divine union. And some of it I have to express. A lot of it has to do with difficult conversations in relation to karmic energies and connections outside of the divine union frequency. If you've been paying attention, you'll recall a lot of this occurred. The falling out into separation potentially occurred with energy that was not prioritizing the connection in divine union over the other energies around the divine union. And even now, this is why we see potentially there are very difficult conversations occurring, because it's this moment and modality of recognizing that if anything pulled you out of divine union, it's not like it just disappeared. It's not like it just vanished out of thin air. There are difficult discussions in relation to understanding all of those factors at play. The energy that's coming into divine union does not run from this type of effort. It is leaning into it. It is having the hard conversations. And it is even potentially identifying and recognizing that there may have been other karmic energies that pulled them out of divine union. But even recognizing that right now isn't enough. The observation fact is almost amplifying, discussing the difficulties and hurdles around outside connection points to help amplify the fact that someone realizes and recognizes that when we move into divine union, it's not just pretending that other karmic connections don't exist. It is reinforcing one's own lessons in relation to how to move, how to integrate, how to interact when those things occur. Because it's not pretending that they will never occur again. It's more of a productive conversation on what you will mutually do should they happen together, because you are moving on the same path. Masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency, this is what you're doing. This is what's brought about so much of this energetic exhaustion right now, because the energy in the divine union frequency is continually navigating these circumstances or situations. In fact, there was a lot of intentionality in trying to address these prior to the start of the Mercury retrograde period, which began in about mid-December and ended at the beginning of this month. And even now we see, and I keep stressing here, the viability point, the point of progress, is not the fact that there aren't unhealed situations or circumstances surrounding the energy in the divine union frequency. It is entirely amplified in one's own sense of control and how one responds, reacts, moves. Even now, energetically, and this is why we see the ability to speak about things, the ability to open up about things, is amplifying a point of strength, because even the ability to be open and expressive in this way shows an ability of having a specific level or degree of control over situations and circumstances, because again, you aren't coming into a state of reactivity. You're moving and motivated from a place of purpose and intentionality that amplifies that in itself is its own path of healing, because you're effectively able to ration out how much energy you give to something versus how much you don't. Remember that lesson of the feminine I was amplifying on feminine trying to figure out how not to overgive to situations that don't give back in kind? This is the solution to that problem. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is 2 cards coming out. This is the difference between what may have created points of disaster or crises in the past versus clarity if you're in the divine union frequency. Because again, if you came or you moved in a space of reactivity in the past, even if it caused some of these unhealed karmic connections to occur, you're not removing in a state or space of trying to like diminish it. You're just trying to get clarity. Remember when I said fact-finding mission? Remember when I said a lot of this energetic work for the energy in the divine union was just to get like a boots on the ground perspective on where some unhealed energy is to determine if there was some kind of productive path forward? The clarity is a bit of the gift there, because the ability to see something and recognize and identify, where something is that was previously in a point of crisis, that in itself is a gift, because that clarity helps determine what the path ahead's going to look like. It gives you something practical to work with. It may feel like it is vulnerable. It may feel like it is triggering in the process. It may even be, and I have to stress this, especially if some of this was intentionally moved towards you, it could feel like a bit like you opened up a box of problems, because you did. But why do we see? And this is why, again, we are identifying that in the divine union frequency, the ability, this isn't a question about the fact that something about doing this work may have created that sense or feeling of crisis, if you will. It was the expectation. Remember? It was the intention. It was knowing that you were working on these hard things and recognizing that they were going to be hard. Getting the full clarity and optics in a way is part of that journey. And we see here to a certain extent that ability to have that clarity is effectively feeling advantageous, if not exhausting, because it gives you something to work with. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union. This ability to do the hard part first, to rip the Band-Aid off some things, having some really difficult conversations right now, potentially even really difficult conversations about outside karmic energies, especially if they had some kind of impact in keeping you in divine union in the past. The clarity is the confirmation that something has changed here. Because this isn't someone, again, especially if there was some kind of argument in the past about something being harmless and someone being harmful. This might be someone effectively amplifying to someone being like, you were right. You were right. I diminished what that was, or I didn't see it in myself. The ability energetically for someone to come into that point of admission in showing someone the full breadth of an unhealed karmic connection around them, potentially even amplifying that what they thought was coming towards them with the best of intentions, effectively potentially led to some energy falling out of divine union. That ability of clarity and understanding is a bit of a gift here, because again, for the energy experiencing this is feeling like someone that is willing to be vulnerable and potentially admit when they moved in the wrong direction, or they made the wrong choice. Or I don't want to say the wrong choice, but a choice that brought crisis instead of productivity. So even now, that ability to lend clarity to something, to do so in a way, again, accountability, clarity, intentionality, that in itself is that modality or moment that we're effectively seeing, because it is helping the energy that's coming back into divine union recognize that the gift that you're providing each other is full understanding and full clarity, and almost, again, the desire of not wanting to let someone experience an illusion of what is effectively happening, but giving each other the gift of the clarity behind it. Continuing to get clarity on the energy right now in separation. This is why it is so difficult potentially to be in separation right now, especially if some of this is the result of what feels like some kind of severe miscommunication as it relates to what partnership is. Because there may be feelings right now of, again, feminine energy feeling or experiencing something where they're trying to amplify that the desire to be with a connection, an energy, is not the reason that they're in separation. It's feeling the weight that the feminine energy cannot live in a sense or a state of perpetual crisis if there isn't connectivity there. We saw that for a lot of the feminine energy that potentially moved into separation, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This was feminine energy that was trying to amplify to masculine, that when you don't move in the modality of openness, of clarity, of co-creation, It makes feminine feel like they're existing in a state or space where they don't know what's going to happen from one moment to the next, where they don't feel like they can do anything, where they're constantly in a state of anticipation. They're constantly in a state of anxiety. And this is why we see that there may be so much feminine energy right now that's almost saying to masculine in a very painful way, that the reason that they're releasing a process right now is not due to a lack of care or love for the energy. It has to do with the fact that the conditions that they need to perpetually be in to be in connection with that energy is effectively too overwhelming. It creates a sense of continual crisis. It's something that the feminine, again, this is why we see that feminine is potentially releasing some masculine energy right now, because this is feminine almost saying, almost articulating this to try to show the masculine, to help the masculine understand, if in separation, that this isn't a rejection. It's a plea for masculine to come forth with clarity, and feminine even recognizing that either the masculine is not in a place where they're ready to do that, or masculine doesn't understand because they still feel like partnership or divine union is just like a gift that they can, offer or release to the feminine at their discretion. And that's why we see so much feminine energy being like, when you come back and you understand this, I hope that I will see you again. Masculine, you may be feeling right now again, there's still some energy right now. Again, masculine energy in separation. You're either having a bit of this breakthrough in separation. You're looking at something right now and you're potentially seeing it from the perspective of the feminine. You're getting a better understanding of how things may have experienced or been seen on the part of the feminine energy. Or this is being amplified as a point of confusion. This could be feeling like there's some masculine energy in separation right now that feels like the feminine doesn't make any sense, because why would the feminine energy be rejecting you when they say that they want to be with you? So even now, you may be feeling like this feminine energy is intentionally trying to confuse you and you're trying to understand, but hopefully by explaining this may give better amplification that there isn't something here about the feminine trying to mislead you or misguide you. This is effectively the feminine that's trying to ask for something that feels more clear and mutual in relation to, again, amplifying what's happening around divine union, and especially in relation to any unhealed karmic energy that may have caused some of this rupture in the first place. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now between our strength and its reversal in combination with our 8 of Pentacles. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. It's all about what partnership is. It's all about what partnership is. And this is what is happening right now that may feel like so much energetically is coming through as a point of confusion. Especially because what may be happening right now, even in the frequency of separation, I keep amplifying it this week. This is all that keeps coming through. If this is a situation where someone is in separation and someone is returning, and instead of wanting to talk about the problems or the things that caused the separation, is almost just trying to increase the offer, then that's not necessarily, again, this almost feels like a point that doesn't feel like it's not creating a success point here. It almost feels like someone feeling the additional frustration point, because again, you can't exist in a world that's confusing and then change the name of what you call that world, and then things get less confusing. You can call it whatever you want. Changing the name of it doesn't make it less confusing. That's why we see energetically right now, there's so much, clarification that's potentially happening between trying to explain to someone the difference between calling something versus actually doing something. You can say that you're in divine union, but if you're not moving in divine union, you're not in divine union. You can't offer someone divine union. You can't just hand it to them and say, would you like this divine union? And the other person says yes. It's something that you need to create together. So this ability right now to look at that and to see and observe partnership, not as something that we hand each other, but something that you co-create. That is effectively what's happening right now in relation to some energy that's in separation, because it is a perspective difference as it relates to what each is energetically seeking. Masculine and feminine. Feminine right now, again, feeling very vulnerable if this is the case, but committing themselves to the path of being able to work with someone that understands that is, again, feminine's working on two different modalities right now. This could be feminine in separation, still trying to help someone understand this, while at the same time leaving themselves open to new possibilities. This could be problematic for masculine in separation right now because, again, masculine in separation, you may be misunderstanding a feminine that's trying to amplify that this is something that they want to work on this with you. But again, masculine in separation, you may be feeling like instead you're feeling like this is a feminine energy that's seeking new partnership possibilities, which is potentially making you feel vulnerable. Because again, this is a feminine energy that is amplifying that the desire, the emotional connection that they feel towards someone is not as relevant right now as to making sure that there's something about amplifying that what you're creating with the feminine has that foundation in terms of understanding what the shape of that divine union or partnership will be. So again, there's a lot of vulnerability here, but even in separation, we see that there is a massive amount of potential productivity happening, potentially even energy coming back into the divine union frequency, especially because we see here that there's a possibility of some masculine energy right now approaching feminine and saying, I get it now. I understand. I was trying to offer you something instead of showing you that I was committing to creating it with you. And the masculine energy right now that's amplifying to feminine, the difference between saying, I recognize I was just calling something, instead of actually putting in the work to create it with you, is allowing energy to come back into the divine union frequency. Masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency, this is what you do for each other all the time. And what do we see here that's so beautiful is the energy right now in the divine union frequency. You're feeling vulnerable. You're feeling exhausted. You put a lot of effort and energy in trying to heal some of these unhealed karmic connections. It's no surprise, especially now that the Mercury retrograde's reached a conclusion and we're seeing a lot of results of that work. It feels like a little bit of cleanup that's happening. It feels like a little bit of assessing of a situation because, again, the ability to move towards something that you knew wasn't healed, at the very least, it was kind of the expectation and understanding that you weren't expecting everything to be easy moving forward. You kind of knew that you were kind of opening a box here. But again, having that sense, having that clarity, letting that other shoe drop, if you will, so that you kind of get the full picture of something, does feel like it is productive, even if it is something that is sensitive and somewhat triggering, because the energy in the divine union isn't getting triggered by feeling vulnerable. They're utilizing it as a place of supporting one another to figure out the most productive solution going forward. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Eight of Pentacles in combination with our Eight of Cups in its reversal. Double eights here. One card to clarify, please. Action, action, action. The beauty and the value of the energy in the divine union frequency. Feeling that point of sensitivity, immediately saying to the other, what can I do to make you feel stronger? What can I do to help? Not masking that. Again, we saw that over the last week or so, there's been a lot of just kind of like carrying that hurt. There's a little bit of easement here. There's a lot of action being taken, a lot of direct action, immediacy, channeling some of that frustration energy into practical action right now. Because again, that ability to recognize that the vulnerability is not weakness, the energy in the divine union saying, and even potentially having a moment right now being like, yeah, I tried to be vulnerable. It went just as well as I expected it to. But I also kind of knew that was going to happen. We kind of knew that was the case. It's not going to change the direction you're moving in. It just either affirms what you thought was, or it gives you something practical to go forward on. Either way, the ability to have that point is a jumping off point. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This ability to be vulnerable and not to run in the opposite direction, not to move away when something's hard, to lean in, to focus and assure the other energy that that you are invested, not just for when things are fun or delightful, but when things are rough, that they require work, is the amplification of, again, energy that has shifted, that is now committing not just by word to what they want, but is showing by deed that they understand that partnership isn't a noun, it's a verb. And that ability to take action and to move as one would in divine union is being shown through the ability to make your actions reflect what you are saying your intentions are. Masculine and feminine coming in separation right now. This is why we see that so much of this energy right now, it is painful, but it is not stuttering. If there is something here, this is why we see right now, if something has reached a point where there's been feminine energy, I have to say feminine energy over the last few weeks has been going to great lengths to try to clarify and explain something to a lot of the masculine energy in separation. If this is a feminine energy that is articulated in every way, shape, or form, the desire to want something to work with masculine, but there's a feeling that the masculine is either getting too reactive or refuses to have those conversations, moves away from them, avoids them. This is feminine feeling affirmed to move forward right now, which is why we see a lot of feminine energy feels like they're leaving themselves open to new opportunities, because they feel like, again, if it doesn't matter what the masculine says that they want with the feminine, if the masculine is being argumentative whenever there's a crisis point, or moving or running away from feminine when there's a crisis point, this is feminine energy saying you can call that whatever you want, but it's not a divine union. It's not a divine partnership. It's something that just serves your needs. It doesn't serve both our needs. It is one-sided. It is an unhealed karmic connection, which is why we see the feminine energy is, again, moving into a release process, if that's the case, saying, I hope when you're ready and willing to understand the work necessary to actually maintain union, you know where to find me. But feminine's also saying, feminine's not waiting for that day to occur. Feminine's allowing that point to be the separation point. Masculine, this is why we see so much masculine energy right now. If you are avoiding these conversations with feminine, like, again, saying that you want to be with the feminine, but not necessarily being available when the feminine wants to talk about things, or avoiding a difficult conversation. This is why you may potentially be feeling very frustrated right now, because you may be feeling like the feminine is saying that they want to be with you, but you're seeing a feminine that's trying to end something with you. And even now, right now, masculine, you may be feeling the fact that, like, you're looking at that as a feminine being confusing, but really that's because the feminine is almost waiting and seeking for you to take action. And again, that ability in recognizing the difference between feeling like someone is trying to convince you to do something versus recognizing that that is what needs to be done to be in divine union, that is effectively separating right now energy that's truly ready to move into divine union versus energy that still feels like divine union is too much of an obligation, that it's too much of a limitation point. Like, if there's something here that someone's feeling like, I didn't want to be energetically burdened, they were trying to put too much burden on me. Like, that's almost energy that's coming into that modality, and at least recognizing, if you're in that modality, that you're not necessarily someone who is ready for the journey of being in divine union, because you're thinking too much in the sense of the personal autonomy space. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now between, and it really could go either way right now. This is why we have these double eights here. There's a lot of energy right now that's having breakthroughs and separation, recognizing what needs to change in order to come back in. There's a lot of energy here that's potentially still holding this part of resistance. Clarification coming through right now with our 8 of Cups in its reversal, our 6 of Cups in its reversal, and our Tower card. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our 2 of Cups. This is the hurdle here. And this is why we see that for so much of the energy and separation right now, it's so potentially frustrating. This is what I mean about the fact of feeling like the desire or need to want to be with an energy right now may be strong, but it's a feeling like you guys are like pulling each other on different paths. The connection between you isn't the problem. It is what you effectively desire and how you are effectively willing to address it. Because again, energetically, it's not the fact that we all need to be on the same path. Nobody is ever on the same exact path. It is how open we are with it. It is how honest we are. It is how we communicate to each other. It is how we guide each other, the way we see what we need to like move into. That's that doing that deeper inner child healing. You know, and again, a lot of it is amplified through potentially points of crisis. And so we see here, and this is what we're almost seeing that is so difficult right now, is a lot of energy and separation, maybe feeling like they're getting a lot of energy that is affirming to them that they don't not want to be together. But energetically, someone's saying your actions make it impossible to be together. This is something that feels really heavy right now because it is the pain and understanding and experiencing something in connection to feeling the pull towards someone, but not necessarily feeling like that connection is healthy or healed. And that is why we see energetically right now, a lot of this energy is trying to release someone, but it's not a release process by which someone is saying, I don't want you, I reject you. It is almost coming from a plea and saying, and again, the energy that's healed is trying to amplify this clearly. Like when you can come back and you can provide these things, when you can show me that you have healed this, when you show me that you can let go of these unhealed karmic connections around you, when you can show me that you're ready to prioritize one connection over the desires of everyone else around you, when you show me that you don't run away during a point of crisis, but you lean in deeper, when you show me that you have understand and you have learned these lessons, please find me. You know where I am. This is almost what we're seeing energetically in separation right now. This is why we see so much of this energy is releasing in this way, with the ideal and aspiration of feeling like they're kind of not being given any other choice to do so, even while someone may be trying to hold on to someone. And a lot of this energy and separation can almost be a moment of saying, what are you holding on to? What are you trying to hold on to? Because what we have together doesn't feel balanced. It doesn't allow us to be co-creators. You just want something to be the way that you want it, as opposed to working together to create what we should together. Masculine and feminine, both almost reflecting each other perfectly right now in separation, that frustration, that mutual aggravation. The hurdle is whether you recognize whether this journey feels like one that is calling forth in you to be able to move in that state or space of adaptability and adjustment and accommodation, or if this is the moment that you feel like you need to effectively release someone because you've tried to become as adaptable as possible and someone isn't showing a willingness to do so in the same way. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union, because I will say the light at the end of the tunnel here is a lot of energy is coming back into divine union. The ability to observe this, the ability to take full accountability, the ability to look at something right now and say, I completely understand what went wrong last time. I completely can take accountability for my actions and my part of something. And again, this is energy that's not saying that they are fully to blame, but putting a lot of care and consideration in not just their part, but what is their responsibility versus what's not their responsibility, the action, the reaction, getting that full breadth of understanding, unpacking it together, whether these be new connections or whether these be connections that are now coming into a point of restoration. It is messy. It is surgical. It is like an operating table. It is ugly work, but it is necessary because it is allowing you to see what needs to be fixed. Masculine and feminine in divine union, You guys are like MASH. You do this work all the time. You recognize this. You recognize the ugly side of partnership. You recognize that when you're with each other, the reason you appreciate one another is that you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to put on that false front. You don't need to operate in a state of feeling like everything needs to be hunky-dory, because you recognize that you allow each other the full breadth of what you're experiencing. The important thing to navigate is not amplifying that sense of crisis. It's not amplifying the problem or hurdle. In a way, the reason you bring these forth to one another is because the connection in the divine frequency is such that you know that the energy is exactly the type that if you were doing something that was causing some of the problem, they would be the first one to present it. That the beauty of the divine union isn't the fact that the energy is going to pretend to you when everything's fine and be like, you're doing a great job, as like everything in the kitchen is on fire. The energy in the divine union is going to be like, you should maybe check on that. You should, maybe if you do this, maybe if you do that. And the ability to navigate not just the partnership itself, not just what isn't working with each other in that practical way, but also the energy surrounding you both. The energy around you, and also navigating that, allowing that unpacking, allowing that degree of assessing is all about getting into better alignment. And sometimes it gets messy. Sometimes you got to mess up a room before you can clean up a room. So we see here that even energetically right now, something that is happening that we've seen over this past week is that observation point and getting the full optics of something and being like, yeah, that's a disaster. But that's okay. At least we now know what we're dealing with, right? That ability to assess and do that allows for that point of healing. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Between these cards, these three cards in combination, the Tower in combination with our Six of Cups in its reversal in combination. This is our saving grace here, my friends. This is our saving grace. The Moon card in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification. Whew, coming through right now. Again. This is like the song that doesn't want to stop playing. Okay, masculine and feminine. A lot of this potentially has to do with something that the masculine... Remember how I said the masculine energy took direct action to working on some unhealed karmic energy? Feminine was doing the internal work before taking action. This is masculine energy continuing to stay in the modality of accountability and integrity. This is masculine energy in the divine union frequency saying, I feel like I opened some of these boxes. Like I went to clean the garage and oh my gosh, it's kind of spilled out over everything now, hasn't it? But again, what is the feminine energy saying in the frequency of the divine union? Feminine energy saying it's fine. Feminine energy saying it's fine because what did masculine, what was the lesson? What was the message that was coming through to masculine prior to starting this type of work? Do you remember? I've been saying it like crazy for the last few weeks. Masculine energy had to surrender the outcome if they were going to proceed in this fashion. Masculine energy had to move in a way that they followed their heart, not for the sake of abandoning what they hoped would happen, but doing what they felt like they needed to. And that ability to move from a state of doing what do we call it? What do we call it? What do we call it when we move from our heart space? We try to bring something to an unhealed place and we abandon the outcome. We do it because we feel we want to. That's called integrity. So this is, again, feminine reaffirming to masculine. If masculine is unpacking these things with feminine, if masculine is even putting a lot of this weight on themselves as it relates to working through some of this unhealed karmic energy, this is feminine energy acting as that clear mirror. The mirror that is clear, the clear water showing masculine going, you didn't bring this up to our doorstep. You didn't bring this situation here. You moved with integrity. And sometimes when we move with integrity, there is the right thing and there's the easy thing. And sometimes those two paths are different places. And this is a feminine that is amplifying to masculine. I would always rather you choose the right thing instead of the easy thing. Showing masculine that clear picture of themselves, bringing that mirror to the masculine so that they see something clearly is the gift that the feminine is bringing right now, even through any of these hurdles or difficulties. Masculine, you may be feeling like this right now, but again, there's a lot more responsibility you're feeling in relation to this right now, even through feminine trying to bring you that level or degree of clarity. Because again, the right thing and the easy thing are often two different things. So sometimes there's that modality that we have to experience. And even now, this is masculine energy. And again, I feel like that masculine, if you're going through this right now, this is one of those moments they have to say, like, would you do anything different? No. Because again, potentially for a lot of the energy in the divine union frequency, this was intentionally moving through something difficult for the sense of one's own sense of self. And that, being able to maintain that sense of self through it, is the successful operation of that journey. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, this is why we see so much energy is coming more, is maintaining an ability to come back into union beyond. I'm not the type of person that says that a lot. So when I say it, listen, because again, what is happening right now for the energy coming into divine union? Masculine energy potentially moving towards feminine, saying, I understand how if this is energy coming back into partnership, I understand my own portion in what went wrong. I see it now. I see what you were trying to show me. That thing you told me that I told you was harmless, that led to our separation, you were right. I see it now. That thing you told me about not being able to prioritize you outside of other people, I see it now. That thing you told me about me getting reactive and pushing people away when I should lean in when things get hard, I see it now. The masculine ability to articulate to feminine right now exactly what they now have learned or recognized, if in a point of separation, is amplifying and affirming to feminine that this is masculine energy, that even though feminine's showing some trepidation here, there is a possibility of healing, because this is masculine energy that is approaching feminine, coming into divine union, being able to embrace that point of accountability. And that accountability is messy and ugly. Accountability is not saying I always move perfectly. Accountability is saying I've tried to move perfectly, but I can see where I failed at times. And I'm here to tell you that I'm always learning. That is integrity. That is accountability. Feminine seeing a masculine able to, again, be vulnerable is the great sign of strength there. And that ability to take that sense of accountability and vulnerability, feminine is feeling, is that it's seeing a masculine through their actions, through their own sense of observation, that is showing the feminine that something here has changed. Feminine energy and separation right now, this is why the feminine released the masculine. I don't want you to create a false illusion of what we have together. I don't want you to create a perfect illusion that you want me to live in. I don't want you to, not give me clarity. I don't want you not to give me optics. I don't want you not to make me a priority. I don't want you to... This is feminine energy saying it has nothing to do with how I feel about the energy. This is feminine energy feeling a full weight of release in terms of having to karmically clear something right now, because this is feminine energy saying the only way I can hope that energy can learn these things is if I don't condone it. Because what we condone, we accept. And when we accept it, we limit the masculine from being able to proceed on the journey of the self enough to learn these facets. So this is why we see that for so much of the feminine energy, this is so heavy. Because this isn't even a feminine energy that's doing this because the feminine wants to. This is a feminine energy that's releasing this for the hope and aspiration that this is a gift that they're giving the masculine, so that the masculine can learn and understand these things, so that they can come back together in that more perfect union. And that's why we see right now for feminine, this feels so bittersweet, because feminine energy is releasing a masculine that they feel has the potential for these things, the aspiration, the desire, and potentially even trying to communicate that to a masculine, especially if there's a masculine that's trying to move back towards a feminine right now, and they're confused because they're saying, if you want to be with me, why are you saying no? This is a feminine energy saying, because I'm telling you, I'm showing you how your words don't match your actions. And I cannot live in an illusion with you. I want to co-create with you. So please, take the time you need. I might not be here. I hope that our paths can cross again. And I hope that you understand this someday. Masculine, a lot of energy right now. If in separation, you may be understanding this. You may be starting to understand this in a way, which again is why we see a lot of energy coming back into the frequency. Clarification between Page of Pentacles, bump, bump, light bulb, and our Two of Swords in its reversal. Oh, man, past is a tricky fish today, huh? Why we got all this retrograde vibe coming up? This is what I'm seeing, and this is why we see right now. Remember what I said when we started? The past, how the past is being utilized right now, the separation energy and the divine union energy, they're so close together right now. It's all about how you navigate the past. If you're utilizing the past and you're weaponizing it, you're building a wall with it, this is going to be a continuation of separation. The energy right now, that's going to be that more like someone feeling like, nope, this is just everything you're saying, dragging the past back up, like, but not in a positive way, utilizing it as a point of recrimination. Energy's going, I'm seeing it in practical time. Like, this is literally showing right now an inviability point. The energy that is coming back towards someone with the past and saying, I would like to talk about the past. I would like to talk about my part in it. I would like to talk about how I see something about that you tried to show me that I couldn't see back then. I understand now what needs to change, and it's going to require us to, I need to bring you the clarity from the past. That is my offer. My offer isn't calling you something, isn't giving you a title. My gift to you is telling you what you are asking me to give you, giving you that insight, giving you that clarity is that offer of coming into divine union. The energy is either doing that, coming back into the divine union frequency, or they're building walls. You're utilizing it as a weapon to hurl at each other. Affirmation of staying continually further into separation. The energy in the divine union frequency, this is intentionally going back to the past right now, because being in the divine union frequency gives you a new way to heal it. It's exhausting work because you're working forwards and backwards right now. You're working in two different places. You're going forward and backward. The only way forward for the energy in the divine union is doing a little bit of backwards work too. It's like doors have opened from the past now because you can bring something new to them. And even now that's hard because, again, you're like, it's a lot of this type of energy right now for the energy in divine union, because it feels like a glacier effect. Every step forward, you get pulled back a little. But that's the important thing about a glacier. 2 steps forward, 1 back. 2 steps forward, 1 back. Every step forward, you're going to have to take a little bit of backwards affecting, but it doesn't mean you're not getting anywhere. Remember that. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Two of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Two of Cups in its reversal. All these double numbers today. One card to clarify, please. Yee, this is good. 2 negatives make a positive. 2 negatives make a positive, okay? Masculine and feminine right now. That's the thing. I know it's gonna sound. If you get it, you get it. This is all I'm gonna say. Sometimes you got to break something to fix it. Sometimes you got to make a mess to clean a mess. Sometimes you got to look at something and you got to adjust something in order to have something better here. And so what we're seeing that's happening right now, even in the divine union frequency, there's a little bit of oppositional energy happening right now in the divine union frequency, even between masculine and feminine. You guys aren't moving right now on exactly the same pathwork. I told you what masculine is doing, feminine feels they cannot do in the same way right now. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means you guys move differently, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. The ability to utilize that in a productive way is the positive here. It just requires a little bit more work because it does require a little bit more, it's like when you're dancing. It's like when you're dancing, you're not taking the same steps or you'd be stepping on each other's feet. When you do that effectively, it's beautiful. The energy in the divine union frequency is going through that a little bit right now. It's recognizing that the way that one is going through something right now versus what the other one is doing is different, but it's equal. It's different, but it's equal. It's requiring some subtleties and nuances that only the other energy can navigate on the pathwork. And that is a beautiful thing when you think about it in the right way. And so taking that negative right now, letting it become a positive is the positive. Masculine and feminine right now, this is what you're effectively doing right now. That is, again, when I say the energy right now coming into divine union versus in separation is like this close, it's very close right now. And it is all about discernment. It is all about whether you can take a negative and turn it into a positive, or whether you take the negative and you amplify the negative and then you sharpen the negative and then you poke someone with the negative and then they bleed out all over you. You're like, the ability to identify what you do right now with a trigger is literally what is amplifying the energy that is going to be in staying in separation versus the energy that is now coming in. Because what did I say is happening right now for the energy in coming into divine union? Being look at this, extremely vulnerable around extremely sharp objects. Extremely vulnerable around extremely sharp objects. You are talking about very, very difficult things that other people, even in the past, may have utilized to leverage, to hurt you. This is what we call a trust test. The ability to navigate talking about hard things that may have even broken up partnerships in the past. Being or the partnership itself, being absolutely vulnerable and then looking at someone and saying, "Are you going to stab me with that? You going to stab me with that? Are you going to stab me with that knife I just gave you? Or are we going to start sharpening these? Are we going to start shining them? Are we going to put them away?" Because that ability right now in recognizing and becoming vulnerable to one another, that's either leading to a state or space of productivity, of growth, of saying, "Thank you. I'm going to be extra precious with that now. I'm going to protect that at all costs." Or even potentially even taking accountability and saying, "You gave me something very important." Even energy right now that is coming back into healing, and this is how the energy is coming back into healing. You gave me something incredibly important, and I hurt you with it. You gave me your trust, and I hurt you with it. You told me the most vulnerable thing about you, and I hurt you with it. That ability to even acknowledge that is allowing for breakthroughs. And the energy that's doing that right now for the first time, and you're not experiencing that reactivity point, you're taking that appreciation, and someone saying, again, this could even be new energy being like, "I know why you're sensitive about that, because I had someone do the same thing to me." That point of mutual acknowledgement on how precious what you're giving each other is, energy coming back into the divine union frequency. The energy right now, and this is why it may feel so difficult for some of the energy in separation, is there may be energy right now in separation that's feeling so wounded and vulnerable that they're taking that precious thing, and they're potentially trying to wound you with it. And even now, if that is occurring, it's almost amplifying. It's going to feel like someone coming into separation potentially and just amplifying why a separation point needs to maintain. Because again, it is that feeling of someone moving into a modality of not taking something precious and trying to protect it, but almost utilizing it to pronounce that separation point, amplify that separation point even further. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Two of Cups in its reversal and our King of Swords. May I please have one card to clarify? Knight of Wands in its reversal. Masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency. This ability, again, what are we seeing here? Everything we're seeing right now that's happening, masculine all week, masculines needed a lot of effective extra energy from the feminine. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Because why? Because masculine energy in the divine union frequency, seeing something that feels like a point of crisis, is almost amplifying one's own sense of responsibility around it. What did we say? The energy of the masculine energy in divine union is not the type of energy that moves away from something when it gets difficult. It leans in further, and we're even seeing here that something about this ability right now of masculine to see something here that effectively, may have something to do with some of that unhealed karmic energy they've been trying to work through. Even now, it's doubly difficult because not only is masculine trying to hold forward on this, you'll remember masculine energy, and this is what's really interesting right now. Feminine is looking to take action. Masculine is looking not to take action. That is why these are in. This is the difference in the path work right now. Remember that pulling the arrow out moment? Masculine's non-reactivity is enforcing and empowering and showing just how strong this masculine energy is. And it's driving the masculine energy crazy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Because this is masculine energy that would very, 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 very much like to take action on something. This is even masculine energy potentially recognizing and realizing it, were it not for the divine union frequency, their own reactivity point might be very different. This is the masculine energy observing that the way they move has even been affected by being in the divine union frequency. But again, that doesn't mean it's not the right way to move. The problem with the masculine energy is that work on the ego right now. This is masculine energy feeling very vulnerable in this way and feeling like even now, masculine being like, I want to do something. I want to do something because masculine feels like by not doing something here, they're disappointing the energy in the divine union frequency. The feminine energy in the divine union frequency is amplifying to masculine being, don't you dare. Like this is almost energy. This is feminine energy saying, don't you understand? This is feminine energy in the divine union energy saying, no, your ability, you don't need to prove yourself. This is feminine in the divine union frequency saying that need, that feeling of you to have to feel like you need to prove yourself or do something here. That is not something that is happening. This is feminine energy trying to amplify to masculine that their ability to hold forth, especially if this is a masculine that's saying in some way, shape, or form, were it not for the divine union, I would be doing something very differently. This is feminine energy saying that's amplifying just how much you've changed for the divine union frequency. That's amplifying how important your priority, your ability to hold forth on moving in the way that you used to move for the sake of the divine union is in a way all the affirmation that feminine needs. Masculine, and that's again, feminine that feels the additional strength of a masculine that doesn't move from a point of personal autonomy or personal ego, but puts the energy of the divine union first and foremost. shows a masculine energy that's moving with intentionality instead of reactivity. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union, energy of a feminine, of a masculine taking accountability for places and spaces in the past where they may not have moved in that way, is affirming to feminine if there is an opportunity here coming back into divine union. This is a masculine that has in fact changed. And the change is being able to observe the past self and understanding and being able to amplify their own ability and witnessing their past actions and how it may have had a deep impact on the ability of the energy to maintain that energy of staying in divine union. Masculine and feminine separation, I told you, this is like flip the coin, depending on how you view this. If this is masculine energy, that instead of taking accountability is trying to point the finger and insist that this must mean that there's outside energy. That the only reason the feminine could possibly be moving like this is because there's somebody else. That this is more of this isn't a feminine energy that is trying to fix something with masculine, but instead that this is a feminine energy that clearly has other masculines around them. If again, this is masculine energy that is trying to point the finger and the energies outside of the connection, even while the feminine is trying to say in every way, shape, or form that they don't desire to depart from this masculine, but they're too reactive. Or that the masculine has gone silent or is pulling away, even as the feminine is trying to fix something with them. This is almost validating to feminine that, again, it's not that the feminine doesn't desire to be in union with the masculine. It's that the feminine feels like the masculine isn't ready because of the way that they're moving and because they're allowing themselves to be more reactive than thinking with intention and prioritizing the partnership and what would be in the best interest of the divine union. Continuing to get, and again, this could be feeling very frustrating right now for the masculine energy and separation, because this could be feeling like a point of confusion, and you may be assuming and trying to figure out and say to oneself that the reason must be an outside masculine energy. But especially if this is a feminine trying to fix something, this is a feminine energy that's moving through a release process, not because they want other masculine energy. It's that they want masculine energy that's standing in integrity. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Five of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Sun card. One card to clarify, please. Two cards to clarify. Three cards to clarify. This is why we see, and I think that this is the problem right now. Feminine energy, even in separation right now, feels like it is very much open to having these conversations. But again, if this is a feminine energy that is trying to unpack this with a masculine, if in separation, and instead of finding that point of productivity, if there's a masculine that is continuing to refuse to talk about what the future looks like, or is becoming more reactive and volatile, this is effectively, again, feminine feeling some point of reaffirmation right now within separation and saying, almost trying to say masculine, can you not see that you're reaffirming what I'm saying to you right now? Because this is a feminine potentially trying to identify and show masculine that, especially if this is a masculine that's just saying the desire to be with a feminine, or the desire to raise the feminine's title in their life to fix something. This is feminine that's trying to say to masculine in some way, shape, or form, you don't seem to understand what divine union is. You don't seem to understand that it's not something that you can give me. It's something that we need to create together. You can't just hand it to me. I'm not doing this waiting for you to say, okay, fine, we'll do this. Okay, fine, we'll do that. You have to talk to me about what the future looks like. We have to co-create together. We have to understand what we're going to do when you or I get reactive, because these are the things that are actually preventing us from divine union. It's not something that I'm waiting for you. It's not something that I'm waiting for you to offer me. It's something that I'm waiting for you to start building with me right now, in the way that you approach things, in the way that you see me. And this is even why we see that there's so much energy right now that's getting some kind of affirmation right now. There could be that feeling of, again, a push-pull of someone that's almost saying, it seems to me that if you're not, and this is almost feminine saying to masculine, it seems to me that if you're not in a space or place where you want to talk to me about these things, or you lose your own patience and leave when you don't want to have a difficult conversation, this is almost feminine energy trying to say to masculine, you don't want to co-create with me. You just want me as an object. You want me as something in your life. You want me as something that you know is there. And you see me more as someone is there. You see me more like an object or a prize as opposed to someone that you're co-creating with. And this is feminine trying to articulate to masculine the difference between feeling like you are an object in someone's life versus what it could be like. The energy that's coming towards feminine right now and healing is energy that's potentially taking some point of accountability on this. Almost potentially looking, again, if these are energies coming back into union right now, there is a point of accountability where masculine may be saying, I understand I was only giving you a facet of myself. I wasn't showing you the full picture. I was building an illusion of what I thought you wanted. I was trying to show you just what I wanted you to see. I'm ready to do this hard work right now. I'm ready to even talk about the past where I may have failed in showing you that full clarity, all to show you that I recognize that it's only with clear optics, only from being able to see clearly, can we both plan ahead together. So again, a lot of heaviness here in separation, but a lot of breakthroughs and a lot of possibility of energy coming back into divine union right now. The energy in divine union right now is dealing with circumstances or situations that feel like they're very frustrating. Because again, it's this moment, an opportunity of effectively feeling like there's a lot of path work that you're intentionally setting your sights on. Because again, it's not the fact that you know the direction that you want to go into right now. It's more about a lot of this energetic clearing that you're doing along the way. A lot of this back correcting, for, if you will, a lot of this energetic healing is all for the sake of the fact that you're able, in the space and vibration that you are in now, to move in a different way. And that intentionality of purpose is almost requiring you to address some things that you feel like you didn't fully address, all for the sake of healing. And we see here that it does feel like a little bit of forwards and backwards work, because again, it's doing some of that backwards work right now feels a little disruptive. But again, it's almost amplifying that you're not necessarily doing it for the sake of like a particular desired reaction. You're doing that because it's just how you move. It's just what you do right now. It's the amplification of the frequency that you inhabit. And that frequency allows you the ability to do hard things. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Sun card in combination with our Knight of Wands in its reversal. Three of Pentacles. Masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency. This is all about, again, feminine helping masculine, even if they're going through some moments right now of feeling some point of frustration or even impatience, because we still have a lot of that impatience still coming to bear here around circumstances or situations, because this is all about keeping one's priority on what you are creating, not letting yourself get distracted on side quests. And effectively, that's almost like how this feels to a certain extent as it relates to like ratioing out your own time, effort, and energy right now, which is almost this amplification right now for masculine that feminine is potentially providing, which is saying to masculine, the priority in the way that you're moving right now, or even how you're not moving, is amplifying the fact that your care and consideration is showing a level of conservativeness and mindfulness on what it is that you're trying to create for yourself right now. And feminine energy is almost amplifying to masculine that if masculine is not being reactive in some way, it's because the gift, and this is what masculine's potentially feeling, is like masculine's almost feeling like the maturation process of being in the divine union, because masculine's almost looking at themselves and being like, I don't move the way I used to move. I am not someone who takes that bold, decisive action so much. I take a moment and I consider what I'm trying to create. And that, for masculine, again, it does feel frustrating because it does kind of ding away at some kind of sense of impulsivity, or it does ding at some kind of sense of like, what one feels that trigger to do. But ultimately, this is masculine moving into that beautiful, responsible energy of doing the things that they know, are for the benefit of what they're trying to create, as opposed to following their own passions or their own urges. Feminine amplifying that they see this on the part of masculine, giving masculine confidence even as it relates to something that feels like a little bit of a vulnerability point in their own ego. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. Feminine seeing masculine moving in this space, potentially coming back towards you right now with the sense of accountability, taking responsibility, amplifying, listen, I know I'm not perfect. I know we both did things, but almost masculine saying I'm here and I'm willing to take responsibility for my part and what may have made you feel unstable or impulsive because you were reflecting what you were seeing in me. Masculine energy moving in this modality is showing, again, for feminine energy that was feeling uncertain, that ability of masculine to really articulate on what they would have done differently. Feminine energy maintaining a point of opportunity and optimism here. Because again, it's even the ability to consider the past self in this fashion shows a level of degree of vulnerability, but also moving in a way that you know is right for the sense of oneself versus what you're trying to achieve. So this is a masculine. It's almost saying, I'm willing to take my armor off. I'm willing to show you, that I am not perfect. But I also recognize that what we're creating together requires me to be honest above all things. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. Feminine may be seeing some amplification on this in terms of the reactivity of masculine, that may be actually reaffirming to feminine why there needs to be a point of staying in separation. Especially if this is masculine energy that's not showing an ability to communicate clearly, or if there's a masculine energy here that is not consistent in communication, or especially if there's a masculine energy that is reactive in communication. This is feminine energy that, again, is almost observing a masculine that potentially continues to try to come towards feminine, but it isn't consistent, and it feels more driven by the masculine's own passion as opposed to consideration for the feminine's own feelings. This is, again, a moment of feminine realizing that divide between desiring someone and desiring someone who is good for them. Because feminine energy is used to a lot of energy desiring the feminine. Feminine is more mindful about whether that energy is cognizant of the fact that feminine is not just an object to be achieved, that there's a human or there's a person and there's emotion there. And prioritizing that energetic need is now almost that balance point that feminine is utilizing to ascertain whether the energy that they're allowing in is one that they can build something stable with moving forward. That's why we see a lot of this feminine energy in separation right now. The ability to experience this energy and to almost deny it, to say, I appreciate what we have between us is wonderful, but it can't just be all that exists between us. That, in a sense, feels like, even for feminine energy going through this, if it's difficult, it feels like a breakthrough, because feminine energy is focusing on maintaining their stability in the wake of energy that's trying to pull them off course via desire. Masculine, you may be experiencing this right now, but again, that moment or modality may feel difficult because you may be feeling, to some sense, that there's an energy here where you're recognizing that the connection between you and a feminine is unavoidable. But you're also recognizing that the feminine is being very firm in terms of the stability that they seek right now. And so for some of the energy we see here, this is a breakthrough moment. There's a lot of masculine energy potentially coming back into divine union here, because that ability to observe what needs to be adjusted, to seeing something from the point of view of feminine, to recognizing your own sense of accountability, is allowing new ground to be broken in terms of what you're creating with feminine going forward. While for some of the masculine energy and separation right now, this could be feeling more like a point of confusion, because this could be feeling right now like there's a feminine energy that is effectively rejecting you, and you might have a hard time understanding why. Because again, it feels like you're trying to lead towards the feminine by saying potentially, I desire you, I want you. Potentially recognizing that this isn't a feminine that's looking for someone that wants to desire or want them. They're looking for someone that's willing to build and grow with them. So again, masculine, this may be feeling more like a personal moment in terms of aspiring, in terms of whether you feel that you're ready to move into that modality now, or if you're still holding on to your personal autonomy such that you don't necessarily see that kind of partnership as something that would be positive so much as you feel like it's potentially confining. So a lot of this is a lot of that internal journeying right now for masculine energy. But even recognizing that your ability to articulate on where you are is what the feminine is seeking. This isn't a feminine asking you to pretend that you're something that you're not. The feminine is looking for you to be honest about where you are. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between Ace of Pentacles, Temperance in its reversal, Ten of Cups in its reversal, and our Three of Pentacles. Final card for today's spread, and boy, is that a doozy. Oh, yep. Decisions. Masculine and feminine energy in divine union. What did I say? Clarity was the point. Moving in this way. What did we say the whole journey was prior to coming into the Mercury retrograde cycle? Abandoning the desired outcome. The bear climbed over the mountain to see what they could see. You were climbing over to forget the optic. The clarity was the point. It wasn't coming through something for the aspiration. There was no way. I'm seeing here energetically, whatever this pathwork was, there was no way you were going back to some unhealed karmic stuff and experiencing and expecting, oh, look, everything, somebody, like elves came in the night and they made everything perfect here. Like that would have been sus. Like this is not one of those moments. There's something here about looking in the corners of the spaces that you knew everything was messy. These are doors that you open, that you looked at your partner and you said, I got to warn you, I haven't opened this door in 10 years. There was something really bad behind it last time I looked. I'm going to crack it open. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, like that's why we were seeing that ability to like recognize that. Like there was no way everything was going to be perfect here. Okay? The ability to see the full optics of what you're experiencing or what you need to tackle is the gift here. And it is feeling a little like it's a little triggering. Yeah, it's triggering because you intentionally put yourself in the place of addressing the thing that was going to trigger. This was a lot of intentionality, but now you can make mutual. The reason you're doing this in divine union is because you're opening those doors and you're not doing it alone. You're energetically connected, and that's what's allowing you to make different decisions. That's why you're experiencing feminine preparing themselves to allow themselves to be potentially triggered and not experiencing that trigger. That was a lesson between the Mercury retrograde. Masculine moving in the direction of something that was triggering you in the past because you were ready to do that. This is that moment of allowing that point of, decision, the choice. You made the choice already to a certain extent. In a way, you already set this coursework up for yourself. I have to stress the energy in divine union. You've already made this choice. Like you've already decided, like this was done. This energy was already in play when you moved in this way. Now it's just about affirming your own obligation and commitment to staying on the course throughout it. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union. This is more about now. And when I say more about now, because we've got a lot of energy that's on the side of coming back into divine union, a lot of energy potentially staying in separation right now. And it has a lot to do with your decisions, because we see here a lot of the past coming back to the surface, a lot of acknowledging and something coming back towards each other right now. And the important thing is, I'm going to say the same thing I started this reading on. Triggering things from the past coming up. Nothing is wasted. No mistakes. And whether you look at something right now as a valuable lesson is being amplified here, both for energy coming into divine union right now and for the energy that's in separation, because the ability to take those things that happened in the past and now use them and refine them to allow you to move with more conviction and understanding going forward right now is allowing a lot of energy to come back into divine union. It is all a matter of, again, unpacking something that potentially may feel like a bit of deja vu here, because it may feel like this is the same stuff that could potentially cause deep separation going forward. Navigating that trigger now, not allowing yourself to be triggered. Instead, the place that you used to be triggered is now knowledge, is now that deeper lesson, is that deeper understanding of self. You've been down this hallway before. You know these rooms. You've walked these floors. You know what you need to do, and the ability now for energy to be accountable and to say, I know what I did wrong in the past. I know what to do right now, is literally amplifying right now the energy that is coming back into the divine union frequency by observation, not pretending that these things haven't happened before, utilizing them and saying, last time this happened, I was a lot less prepared. Last time this happened, I was with the wrong energy and something really went amok. Last time this happened, we really messed this up, didn't you? The ability to take those difficulties now and utilize them as lessons and amplifying that is what your success metric is allowing for better choices right now. So for a lot of this energy right now, this is exactly why you're now coming into divine union. That point of understanding, and potentially even having that moment of being like, I get it now. I understand why I had to go through that. This prepared me for this moment. You know what? I have exactly this tool. I know it's going to sound crazy. I have exactly this tool. Either for the energies coming into divine union, it's kind of that feeling, or for the energies that are healing and coming back into divine union saying, we know how to fix this now. We've done the work. We know how to pour gold on the broken parts. Energy and separation, not ready yet. The energy and separation potentially trying to return back to something, or something trying to return back to you right now. The past coming up, someone using it to try to vilify you, someone using it to try to accuse you, someone using it to try to pull you down instead of pull you up. Where do you think you're going? Come back here. Why do you want me to come back here? That negativity, that hostility, that ability of seeing right now, someone potentially trying to say, when you're ready, I'm here. And someone saying, you can go with when you're ready, I'm here. The ability of the reactivity and all of those moments right now. Again, why we see so much energy right now, feeling like they're not letting go of someone. They're looking at someone and saying, I wish you were ready, but you're not, because you can't see that what you're asking us to stay in doesn't feel well. It doesn't feel, this is the energy. This is the separation point. Someone saying, I'm trying to build something beautiful with you, but the way that you're moving is making me live here. And that's why we see so much energy right now. Someone's reactivity, even in a moment that someone's trying to express this, is almost difficult, because it's trying to help someone see and amplifying and saying, can you not see even this moment? You're creating that right now. So even now, it's almost the point of separation. It may be amplifying to someone the choice that they're making, even as the person that they're trying to heal is expressing how unhealed they are in the way that they're responding. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now. This is 9 of Pentacles in its reversal. So the energy in separation right now, what's so painful is someone saying, I don't want to go, but you're making it so uncomfortable that I have no choice but to. And this is almost, again, if someone is dealing with someone's inner child wounds, this is almost trying to amplify to someone and saying, do you understand if you are in separation, if you are someone who always feels that people leave, that the first question you need to ask yourself is, why? Like, perhaps that is the ability to assess and to look in the position around them, to discern like why that might be, to be able to, like, again, and this isn't a point of victimizing. This isn't saying that someone who is in this position, but that observation point in terms of taking accountability for the self and observing, because we see that energetically right now, for a lot of energy and separation, the painful fact is someone saying, I wish more than anything I could stay, but you're giving me an environment through which it is impossible for me to perpetually stay here. You're creating an environment wherein I cannot flourish. You're almost creating an environment that would almost force me to wither while staying in partnership with you. That ability of saying to someone, I hope that when we come back together, you can understand that the reason I'm leaving is not due to lack of love. It's due to a desire that we can grow something beautiful together. And that requires a certain mindset. That ability right now is so painful because, again, it's almost feeling like a lot of people are moving away from something that they wish that they didn't have to, but feeling like they have no other choice. Masculine and feminine coming back into divine union right now. This feeling is painful because, again, it may be experiencing or making you feel to a certain extent like there's a lot of ground to cover. Like you're doing a lot of unpacking. There's a lot of messiness here. It may even feel like, where do we go from here? But that's the beauty of it. Sometimes we have to till up the earth to put the seeds in. So remembering that sometimes that feeling of messiness is good because that messiness is the productive ground through which we grow. Letting that kind of reinforce you will kind of help through that work. Masculine, and because, again, it's a reminder, difficult situations don't change people, they show people. Masculine and feminine in divine union right now. What have I been saying this whole time? Sometimes you got to make a mess to clean up a mess. There's a little bit of that energetically happening here. You knew this was going to happen to a certain extent, though. A lot of this, there was some intentionality here, which is why we see some responsibility coming through. But that ability of, again, the important thing here is not looking at each other and saying, this is your mess, you better clean it up. Like that ability to like recognize and to take that on together and holding each other's hand along the way, all a part of the work. That is our daily collective read for today. I'd like to thank you guys so much for being here to experience it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I would like to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing in these messages. And we will do this again tomorrow. My friends, thank you so much. It's getting